World War I wasn't just a war of bullets. It was a war of mud, infection and exposure. The trenches swallowed men alive, not just in battle, but through cold, rot and disease. Soldiers faced months of unrelenting dampness, standing knee-deep in water and sludge. Boots disintegrated, skin split, and infections turned fatal. Yet, amid all this misery, one simple piece of gear, barely noticed in modern discussions, became a quiet revolution in survival. It wasn't a weapon or a uniform upgrade. It was a piece of trench gear so effective that it shaped military survival strategy for the rest of the century. Today, we're going to explore that forgotten innovation, the World War I trench gear hack that saved lives when technology and medicine couldn't. We'll break down how it worked, why it mattered, and how its principles can still be applied today in fieldcraft, survival training, and even modern outdoor gear design. The Great War forced soldiers to become engineers of their own survival. When the First World War began, armies marched in expecting short campaigns, fought in open fields. Instead, they dug in and stayed there. Trenches, often stretching for miles, became both shield and prison. They filled with rainwater, rats and bacteria. Temperatures plummeted, boots rotted, and medical evacuation was slow. Soldiers began losing battles not to enemy fire, but to trench foot, a crippling condition caused by prolonged exposure to wet, unsanitary conditions. By late 1915, British medical reports showed that some divisions had more men sidelined by trench foot than by enemy shells. A soldier with trench foot often couldn't walk, and untreated cases led to gangrene and amputation. Commanders realized that the war's outcome might depend not on tactics, but on keeping soldiers' feet dry. That's when military engineers and field medics, really came together to produce one of the simplest yet most effective survival hacks of the 20th century, the grease and wrap system. This innovation transformed not only soldier endurance, but also changed the way militaries approached field comfort and preventative medicine. The hack, interestingly enough, combined old sailor wisdom with modern soldier ingenuity. The solution actually began not in a laboratory, but right there in the trenches themselves. Soldiers started coating their feet in whale oil, or sometimes a mixture of tallow and grease, before putting on their socks. That layer of oil created a moisture barrier that repelled water and, honestly, reduced skin breakdown. Officers quickly noticed that soldiers who followed this practice rarely developed trench foot, even in those really flooded positions. By 1916, the British Army officially adopted the practice, issuing tins of trench foot grease to every single soldier. Daily routine orders required men to remove their boots, dry their feet, rub them with the grease and change into dry socks, rotating pairs that were kept warm inside their tunics. It was a small act, but it really changed everything. A soldier's survival now depended not just on courage, but on discipline, maintaining the ritual of foot care as seriously as maintaining his rifle. This simple system, grease, dry socks, rotation, reduced trench foot cases dramatically. It became a cornerstone of frontline survival, teaching soldiers that endurance depended on micro-habits, not just equipment. What made the trench gear hack revolutionary wasn't just its practicality. It was the philosophy it introduced. Before World War I, armies focused on weapons and formations. After this discovery, militaries began treating body maintenance as part of combat readiness. The British and later the American expeditionary forces institutionalized the routine grease, inspect, change and rotate. Non-commissioned officers performed daily foot inspections, knowing that a single neglected soldier could cost a squad its fighting capacity. This level of preventive discipline was new to modern warfare and eventually led to the development of entire personal maintenance protocols in future conflicts, from desert hydration drills in World War II's North Africa to frostbite prevention in Korea. The trench grease itself evolved too. By the time World War II rolled around, synthetic waterproofing compounds had replaced whale oil. These new compounds formed the basis for the modern waterproof ointments and boot oils we know today. Even now, military manuals stress the importance of this principle: barrier protection combined with moisture management. At its core, the trench grease system worked because it addressed two basic biological realities. Water conducts heat 25 times faster than air, and constant moisture breaks down skin integrity. You see, the human foot, when confined in a damp boot, becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and fungal infection. By applying a layer of hydrophobic fat, be it whale oil, animal grease, or modern petroleum jelly, soldiers effectively sealed the skin from water intrusion, while still allowing natural perspiration to escape gradually. The second step, frequent sock rotation, ensured that moisture was wicked away before it could soak into the skin. You know, modern survivalists and outdoor experts still use this same principle. When trekking in cold, wet environments, applying a thin layer of balm or oil to the feet and changing socks regularly can really help prevent frostbite, trench foot, and heat loss. It's not about having expensive boots or the most advanced fabrics. It's about controlling moisture and friction, just as those soldiers did a century ago. To apply it yourself, you should start by drying your feet completely, then rub a thin protective layer of beeswax-based balm lanolin or petroleum jelly. Use moisture-wicking socks made of wool or synthetic blends, not cotton, and always have a dry pair ready to rotate. This method, though simple, is actually a direct descendant of one of the most effective field innovations of the Great War. The World War I trench hack also influenced gear design beyond the battlefield. The idea of layering materials to manage moisture led to the development of waterproof fabrics like waxed canvas and oilcloth, which were used extensively by scouts, explorers and soldiers in the interwar years. Even modern Gore-Tex owes part of its design philosophy to that same problem-solving mindset, moisture management through controlled permeability. In survival contexts, that same principle appears in everything from bivouac sacks to thermal sleeping bags. Each system aims to do what the grease and wrap method did: keep internal warmth stable while preventing water intrusion. What started as a desperate trench hack became a global standard in both military survival and civilian adventure gear. The lesson of the trench gear hack is that survival begins with discipline, not technology. The men of World War I didn't have high-tech gear, but they had routine. Every night, after patrol or shelling, they performed the same ritual: remove boots, clean feet, apply grease, and change socks. In a world of chaos, that small act of order became an anchor of survival. It's a reminder that endurance is rarely about what we own. It's about what we maintain. Today's soldiers, hikers and preppers all benefit from that mindset. The discipline of prevention, developed in the mud of France and Belgium, remains the bedrock of survival strategy. A good shelter, a sharp blade, or a solid meal may keep you alive for a day. But habits, those learned in the trenches, keep you alive for a lifetime. The World War I trench gear hack revolutionized soldier survival not through technology, but through wisdom born of suffering. It proved that even in the harshest conditions, human ingenuity can find simple, lasting solutions. From the muddy trenches of the Somme to modern expedition fields, the same principle endures. Protect your foundation, maintain your gear, and the rest will follow. If you value deep dives into the hard lessons of history, subscribe to Echoes of Valor for more untold stories of human resilience and wartime ingenuity. Share this video with a fellow history buff or survivalist, because the greatest lessons from the past aren't found in weapons, but in the quiet innovations that kept people alive when the world fell apart.